to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. Are you ready to discover some niche business ideas that actually work? Well, it's time for a motivational kick to jumpstart your next big idea. Here's your host, Spencer Haas.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Niche Pursuits Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Haas, and I happen to blog over at nichepursuits.com where you can follow along with my writings as well. So I'm excited to bring a podcast about Amazon FBA, and I'm going to go ahead and welcome in Perrin. He's my co-host. Perrin, give a shout out to everybody. How you doing?
Pretty good. How's it going? It's going to be a fun one. I feel like we have had some pretty big wins lately, and this may be one of the biggest. So
for sure.
I think it'll be awesome.
It's going to be good. I have been building this Amazon FBA business now for 6 months or so, and it's been a little while since I've given an update. And so today's update is going to be huge.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to share some income numbers. So hopefully people find some motivation from that. Before we dive into it, I don't know, just anything you want to share with anybody? Anything going on? I mean, I thought that the next podcast we recorded, it was going to be after my marathon. I still haven't run it yet. So for people wondering, I actually run it in 2 days now. This
nervous?
Weekend.
Do people get nervous for marathons?
Oh yeah. People get very nervous. Yeah. So for anybody that's run a marathon knows this, that like the night before, like sleeping is almost non-existent. Like you're just your head is right. Maybe that's just me. Well, I know it's not just me. I've talked to a lot of runners, and it's hard to sleep, and you're thinking about your race and your strategy. I mean, for non-runners, you have to realize, like, this is honestly something that I've prepared for over 6 months. Like, I've been thinking about, and when I say prepared for, it's not just something, I think about, that's coming up, that's exciting, it's on my calendar. No, I'm out every day running for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on weekends. So, like, straight. Like, I'm running 10 to 20 miles a day.
Pretty safe to say you've put more time into the marathon than the FBA business.
Way more time. Yes, that is a very safe assumption. So, yeah, I've been running, 50 to 60 miles a week pretty consistently. Anyways, I'm looking forward to it. I will let people know how it goes. I think it's going to go good. I hope. We'll find out. So, yeah, we'll keep tabs on that. But I know everybody's excited about the business more than my marathon running.
Yeah, well, good luck. I'm sure everybody wishes you luck. And we mentioned it last time. Did any runners come out of the woodwork?
Let's see. I did have a couple of people wish me good luck via email. And I'll mention one other marathon runner. Steve Scott gave me a shout out. He's wrote me an email, said good luck. He's a marathon runner, has run quite a bit, and he's much faster than me though. So
is he really?
Oh yeah, he's qualified for Boston. Very, very fast guy. So thank you, Steve, for the good luck. If you're listening in, appreciate it. But let's talk business.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's jump into it. So here's the deal. I haven't shared an income report for a month or two at least. So just to let the cat out of the bag, my product over the last 30 days up through about mid-September. So mid-August to mid-September is basically the numbers I'm sharing here. I sold $40,000, $639 worth of physical products on Amazon. So mind-blowing numbers. If anybody told me 6 months ago that I would be selling $40,000 worth of product on Amazon, I would have told them they were crazy.
Well, maybe. I think you probably should give yourself a little bit more credit for the foresight here, because when we shifted away from our authority site, one of the reasons was because you saw tons of potential here.
That is true. Yeah. That is true. I mean, but I had no idea when we first started it, what it would be doing. Yeah. So, when I first launched it, I did it, let's just try this thing out. Let's put a product up. I've heard good things. And then after, 1 to 2 months, I was seeing the huge potential. I wasn't making tons of money. I think I did $2,500, in the first 30 days. No, actually I did more than that. I have a blog post on it. Yeah. Anyways, it was close to 4,000, I think. And yeah, that's when I flipped the switch and was like, okay, we can scale this thing. But still, I mean, 40,000, that's a big number. And to also be very clear, 40,000 is a revenue number. The actual income is closer to, it's a 35% to 40% profit margin on that. So if you calculate that out, it's anywhere between $14,000 to $16,000 in actual net profit that I pulled in and put in my pocket, and can use to reinvest in growing the business even more. So it's profitable, it's doing very well, and I see a ton of potential for my business that I can grow on Amazon. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So let's dive into, what should we dive into? What do you think people want to hear about? Do they want to hear about why it's so successful, or maybe my plans going forward first?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess my biggest question, because we got a comment in the blog post, and it was like, man, you and Parent knocked this out of the park. And I just want to be clear that I did not get anything out of the park here. I mean, we work on a lot of stuff together, and a couple of our big projects did really well in the last, 60 days or whatever. But this is 100% Spencer. So often I have just as many questions as you guys, and I'm just as excited to see what's going on because I see so little of it day to day. So my biggest question is, did you do anything different from the last update we got? And I don't remember how much you made, maybe 25,000 or something for the last update. What was revenue?
I think it was 17,000. It's the last update I gave. Yeah.
So the revenue from then until now has doubled. So did you do anything different, or is this a natural progression of the business? I'm just wondering what changed, if anything.
Yeah, good question. I did make a couple of tweaks, but the majority, I think, of the increase is just the fact that I got new products up and rolling. Okay, so I don't remember. I think that I had, probably 3 products up in the last sort of update that I did, but now I have 5. And even if I did have 5 in the last update, they were brand new and weren't quite selling very well. And so the majority of the increase is the fact that I now have 5 products up. They're all selling very well. I was able to take a couple of the dud products, which I do remember mentioning on the podcast. I had a couple of dud products, if you will, and I made some tweaks to turn them into winners. So they are no longer duds. All 5 products are winners. They're all selling well and sold out of their initial batch of inventory, and I'm restocking at the moment. And so the question is, well, what did I do to tweak those products, I think? So step 1 to growing the business is just adding more products, right? Step 2 is to increase the sales of your existing products. And so I was able to do both of those. And the tweaks that I made, 2 things. Let's see. At least 2 things. The first 2 things that I can think of right now is one, getting more reviews. So I did more promotional giveaways. I gave away like 50 units of each product, and in return, got more reviews. And so that really helps put products on the map. It's worked very well. That's what I've done for all my products, is give away about 50 products, units. What I did with my 2 duds is I actually did a second round. So I came back, they weren't performing well. I said, all right, let's do another promotional giveaway. Did another 50 units. And that helped jumpstart them a little bit more. But in addition, and it's hard to gauge how much success came from the second change, is I went back and revamped my keyword usage on my listing, both in the product title and on the back end in Seller Central. You can input keywords that you want to target on Amazon. And so I did both of those things. And shortly after I made those keyword changes, I noticed a definite uptick in sales. So I think a lot of it did have to do with those keyword changes that I made. And basically the keyword strategy that I employed is very similar to what I do with niche websites, just because that's what I know. I use these sort of longer tail keyword phrases that I knew people would be searching for. And in fact, I just used Longtail Pro to do keyword research. Again, maybe it's a force of habit. I used a Longtail Pro. I figured, hey, this is going to find me long tail phrases for seed keywords. So why not? Let's do it. So I just inputted more keywords, and so expanded out my product titles and my product descriptions, and then the keywords on the back end. I just did a much better job than I had initially of actually getting those keywords in place. So yeah, that's a couple of things that I did to increase the sales.
I'm wondering about the keywords a little bit. So I've been in the back end a little bit, and I've noticed that keyword section. So for the people who maybe have not started or haven't seen an Amazon seller back end, can you explain what it is a little bit? I mean, one of the questions that we got from Jake, who is the marketing lead for Longtail Pro, is, where do you put these keywords? So where do you put them, and are you only using Longtail Pro to get them?
So I should try to log in here, but yeah, it's on the back end, and it's, for people familiar, it's like where you upload your product and write your product description. It's on one of those tabs. And if I get to it, I'll actually know what it's called here in a second. But basically, there's a keyword section, and there's actual fields for where you can input keywords. And I believe you can do, I think there's 5 fields, if I'm not mistaken. And so those keywords that you input on the back end, you will rank for on Amazon. It doesn't mean you'll rank well. It just means that if you put it there, you will show up in the search results. Meaning, you don't have to put that keyword in your product title to show up for it. If it's on the back end, Amazon will find you. Okay, so if you're selling shower heads, and you're selling a pink shower head and you want to show up for pink shower heads, if you input it on the back end, you don't even have to mention it on the front end of your product title. You'll show up for pink shower heads. Now, you probably should. I mean, if that's your core product, your core differentiator is pink shower heads, you should put it on your product title as well. But yeah, but that's essentially it. Is you can input those keywords. There's 5 fields, and you can actually input essentially multiple keywords in each field. So you can use all the space that's there to input tons of keywords. So how many are we talking if you wanted to? Dozens or hundreds or what? Yeah, I don't know the limit to each field, so I'm not sure. But, it's dozens. It's not hundreds. Yeah, totally. Right? And I was just thinking, and I don't know if you've done this, and I, again, don't know the first thing about Amazon FBA, but we caught wind of that tool, Keyword Inspector, which allows you to steal the keywords that your competition is ranking for on FBA. So I wonder what you think about a strategy of maybe putting those keywords in your backend for a competitor that's very similar to you who's selling a lot of products. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, it always makes sense to probably see what your competitors are doing and what's working for them. Like I said, I didn't use any other keyword tools other than Longtail Pro just because that's where I do my keyword research. But yeah, I think that makes sense to go out and see what your competitors are ranking for and to perhaps use those in your own listings. But I think it's so critical to go a step beyond, and this is what I did, is putting in keywords that your competitors are not putting in, right? Yeah, so trying to think of maybe longer phrases or unique phrases, so that when somebody types it in, maybe it's not a ton of search volume, but you're the only guy that shows up, or you're the only guy that really is targeting that. And so you show up near the top. And so that's a small trickle of traffic that you can get that's a lot easier, because your competitors hopefully aren't targeting that. Yeah, and we know that small trickles of traffic can be really valuable on Amazon. I mean, the conversion rate on the last I heard for the best product that you are selling, the first one, was like 15% or something. Say that again, 15% of what? Of people who visit the product page for your first product. Oh, right. Yep. End up buying. Yep. Yeah. So the conversion rate's so high. Yeah. So, for a
product in the $50 range, a very small trickle of traffic for one of those long tail keywords can make you a lot of money.
Yeah, no, it absolutely can. And this is kind of sad. I can't do two things at once. I was trying to find where to input the keywords on the back end. And this tells you how inexperienced I am, to be honest. Like, I add products, once a month, or, it's been a couple of months since I added a product, so I can't even figure out where to change it right now. So I need to get better at that. I'll work on that. So I'm not ready to, be the guru at training everybody. I'm far from that. I'm just doing, things that are working well in my business. But the one thing that is working is those keywords. Like I mentioned, it is critical. And a recommendation that Travis Jameson actually made on one of the previous podcasts, just a couple of podcasts ago, about using all of the space in your product title. I think that's a good recommendation as well. And I need to do a little bit better job of that on a couple of my products. You can have a much bigger title and include a lot more keywords. And by doing that, you just give yourself more opportunity to show up on Amazon for those keywords. So.
Yeah, cool. So, what's the niche again?
Good try, Perrin. Good try. I get a lot of people that ask for what my product is, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm not going to share it.
Yeah, and that's a joke and everything, but I think we should maybe go into some rationale about like why we're so staunch about keeping this a secret, because we are being a lot more hard-lined about this secret than perhaps some other ones. Like a few people have seen our authority site and like that sort of thing. Obviously because, someone made us an offer and bought most of it. But why is it so important to not reveal the market here?
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to the fact that I do have a lot of people listening to this podcast, and I have a lot of people listening or reading my blog. And, 99.99% of all those people would never do anything to try and go, copy my product or whatever. But there is that small percentage of people that if they found my product would either just try to immediately copy it, and even just a few additional copycats that just increases my competition quite a bit. So I don't want to be overrun with copycats. I don't want to risk anybody doing anything nefarious to my Amazon listings, leaving negative reviews and that sort of thing. So that's the reason. And the other big reason is I see a ton of potential in this business, and I'd like to grow it unhampered by, additional competition. If I can prevent some people from coming into this market, that's great.
Yeah, and we've seen in our ebook business the power that one negative review can have.
Right.
It can really kick your butt in terms of rankings if you don't have many reviews. If that negative review makes up a bigger percentage of your total reviews, it can really kind of take you off of the first, second, third pages. So that's one of the reasons that it's important not to share. And I think anybody in any FBA business has not shared their product. I can't think of one person who has. So that's why, and I'm sure, like everybody's super curious and they want to know. It's just not a good idea business. It's not worth $40,000 a month to tell you, I guess.
Yeah. But what's kind of cool about this Amazon thing is you don't have to see my product to see other successful listings. Honestly, go over to Amazon and see the best sellers. Look at their listings and just do what they're doing. You know what I mean? There's millions of products on there, and thousands of them are best sellers doing over $10,000 a month.
Oh yeah.
So just go look at what they're doing. And I'm not saying copy them, but get an idea of, what are they doing in their product descriptions and how can you apply that to your niche? That sort of thing. Right? So by me not sharing, I don't feel like I'm making people miss out on seeing a good example, because
totally
there's so many great examples. So I think it makes sense.
Yeah, it's not like a niche site where it's difficult to visualize. Not only are there just thousands of examples, but people are familiar with Amazon, and you kind of know what gets you to buy stuff, right? So it's probably a little bit more intuitive. I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about your profit margins, because I know not all 5 products have the same margin, and I wonder why that is and how that affects your pricing decisions, or if you have a product with a lower profit margin, why you're not pricing it higher.
Yeah, no, good question. I do have that listed out here. So I'll just go through really quick. Product 1 has a profit margin of 46%, which is my highest profit margin. Product 2, 23%. Product 3, 38%. Product 4, 43%. Product 5, 29%. And so they range anywhere from 23 to 46%. The difference is, Product 1 is primarily has a higher profit margin because I can charge a higher price for it. And the reason I can charge a higher price is because I'm basically the only one selling that type of product. And that is actually the case with product 3 and 4 as well. Those are the other high profit margin, 38 and 43%, because they have a unique feature, if you will, and there's not a lot of sellers that have this particular unique feature. The other products, product 2 is a little bit bigger, costs a little bit more to ship. It's not quite as unique. And because of that, I can't charge as high a price because, and to be honest, I haven't tried charging a higher price. Maybe I'll do that. I've inched up the price a little bit, but, I haven't tried increasing it by $10 a unit or whatever.
Yeah.
So maybe I could inch up the profit margins a little bit, but I can't do it quite as much. And that's the same with product 5. There's just a lot of other direct competitors that are selling essentially the exact same product. And so if I were to charge $10 more than them, I would probably price myself out of the market.
Yeah, so it's mostly competition that might be keeping some of these margins lower. I wonder if that affects how you decide what products to buy in the future. Are you happy with a product with a 23% margin, or are you more inclined to look for products that have more, 40, 50% margins?
I'm okay with either. Higher profit margins are best, and I'll do what I can to find those, but they are harder to find, right? There's less opportunity out there for products that have a higher profit margin just because that's the nature of business. When there's huge profit margins, other businesses and entrepreneurs will take notice, and that attracts more and more competitors. So yes, I'll try to find more products with high profit margins, but I'm totally okay making $23 for every $100 of product sold. $23 in my pocket. I'm totally okay with that if I know I can move enough product, right? So if I know each month I can sell $10,000 worth of product, and that puts $2,300 profit in my pocket, and it's not causing me to work long hours and do a ton of work, heck, I'm happy with that. I'll add 3 or 4 or 5 of those products. That adds up pretty quick if, again, it's not causing me additional headache or concern or whatever. Yeah, it just comes down to if I can handle it and have the ability to add that new product and it's still profitable at 20%, 30%, that's still good enough.
Yeah, totally.
So,
who wouldn't like that, If a product is doing well enough to bring you $10,000 a month in revenue or whatever it is, and you get $2,300 of it, who wouldn't be happy with that? And I also think it's just not feasible to find super high margin products every single time. I think with any business, you're going to have to scale by adding products, even if they're not optimal, just like anything, not every article you post on a website is going to make $30 a month or whatever your best article is making. But it's a process of building a really strong portfolio, and not every product's going to be perfect, but who cares? There's, it's still making quite a bit of money.
Yep, exactly. And I should reiterate this a little bit. What's very exciting about a couple of these products is that they really are straight private label, meaning there's nothing unique. All that's unique is the my brand and my packaging. The actual product itself is identical to 20 other sellers on Amazon, right? So I've actually been able, I kind of did this to test to see, can I do this? And so I've been able to do it now successfully with a couple of these products that are going up, 20 or 30 other people selling the exact same thing, and it's profitable and they're selling well. And so that's very exciting because there's tons of opportunity, tons of products just like that. Straight private label stuff where I could just jump in and go for it.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't think that I would be successful in all of those markets. I can't just go into anything, but the potential is there. And so that's a pretty exciting finding over the last couple of months in this business. So let's move on to growth potential a little bit here. And I talked about the two ways that, I could increase sales. I can increase or increase the revenue of the business overall. One is I can increase the sales of my individual products. And then two is to manufacture and sell new products. So my existing products, I think there's a lot that I can do. I have not even done Amazon PPC on any of my products except for one. And so I could do that to increase the sales. There's a lot more that I could do marketing wise to just increase the sales. But I will say that holiday season is coming up, November and December. And I've already ordered huge batches of inventory for my products over a month ago. And so they're basically on their way right now, where I can get those up and on Amazon in time for the holiday season. And it's hard to predict. I have no idea. I've never gone through the Amazon buying season. So I don't know if double my sales is out of the question, but maybe not. So I know it's going to increase quite a bit, and I'm ready for that. And so holiday season, just for my existing products, should be much, much more than 40,000 in revenue for both November and December. That's what I'm expecting and hoping. So talk about growing, it's a buying season, and I'm ready to tap into that big time.
Yeah, and it's got to be kind of scary, right? I mean,
it is.
To invest a whole bunch in inventory, and you probably will. Everybody knows Christmas on Amazon is crazy, but what if it's not? Then you have a whole bunch of inventory, so it's got to be kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a risk. It is. It's a risk. I expect it to be better than usual, but even if it's not as good as I hope, it's not a big deal because I'm not living off the income of this business right now. So I'm okay having a little bit of money tied up for just, the first couple of months, January and February next year. If that's what it takes to sell off the inventory, then so be it. I know my products sell, so I have no doubt that they will, they'll sell. I'm not going to be stuck with tons of inventory long term. And so the second way that I can grow my business is to manufacture and sell new products. I already have 2 new products in the works. I'm finalizing a couple of things with a new manufacturer right now, and mainly just branding and packaging type things is what I'm finalizing. And as soon as I do that, I'm ready to pull the trigger and get those ordered. So, and just a quick note on that, I actually expected to be going to the bank, today or yesterday to send a wire transfer to order these 2 new products. But as it turns out, there's another big holiday in China for the next week. And so, they do these week-long holidays. Apparently, I didn't know they did one this month, but they do. And they also do one in February every year where everything shuts down in all of China for a week. So, man, we need to do that here in the U.S.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be nice. So, anyways, I got to wait a week before I can order that. But in about a week, I'm going to be ordering those 2 new products. And then it'll take about a month to manufacture. And so it is going to be mid to late November before I get these new products up. But I'm hoping to still tap into that December buying season for these 2 new products. So it won't be as big for the new products, but I should have them up and selling pretty well by the end of the year to see a nice uptick there as well.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about PPC. I know that you haven't really dove in hardcore, like you're not doing a ton of it. And we've only tried it for one product, but I wonder if there's anything you've learned so far or if you think it's worth it. We know in the last, or maybe 2 FBA podcasts ago or something, people were saying, I just leave PPC on all the time because that's where my sales come from. So what are you finding so far, or do you have a big enough data set to really make any conclusions?
Yeah. So first of all, the main reason I haven't done any more PPC, sorry, I was just logging in and looking at the stats, but the main reason I haven't done more PPC is inventory issues. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit. But basically, I could see at the rate that I was selling that I was going to be selling out of inventory before I could have new inventory in stock anyways. So it made no sense whatsoever for me to spend more money to sell off that inventory using PPC, because then I would just sell out even quicker and it would be a longer wait before I got my new inventory and I would have spent more money. So in all cases, I've just made the decision, I'm not going to use PPC because they're selling too well on their own. That may change because I ordered a huge batch of inventory finally. I've sort of been incrementally growing this. Now I've ordered a huge batch. And so it may get to the case where, hey, I've got 1,000 units and, I've got a long lead time. I know it's going to be 2 to 3 months and, I need to use some PPC. So that's the reason I haven't. Other things that I've learned. So I just logged in and I can see on the one product that I did use PPC, I spent $523.06 on ads and I made $1,457 in sales. So my advertising cost of sales is 36%. So not bad. I'd actually say that's pretty decent. So I think that PPC works because what doesn't show up in these numbers, like I'm making money, I made 3 times my money just by, spending on Amazon ads. But what doesn't show up is the natural sales, because I'm ranking better and making more sales naturally as well. That potentially was driven because of the PPC. So I think it makes sense. It's a good idea. Just in my case with my inventory issues, it hasn't made sense to spend the extra money.
Yeah. So what, and I'm just not a math whiz, is why I'm asking. So it says that you've made 3 times, but your profits are around 40%, 35% on average, maybe. So what would be the net there? About double your money?
So that would be, well, okay. So in this case, it might actually be, so in this case, I spent $1,457, or I made that much. And so let's say my profit on this is about 35%. So I just do 35% of that. Gives me $509 is my profit that I made on those sales. And I actually spent $523. So I basically broke even on the ads. Okay. So I actually lost a little bit of money net on the ads, right. But where that would have been made up is hopefully additional natural sales.
Right. Because sales are part of the ranking algorithm for Amazon.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's what Scott Volker told us too, is that he will often go into the red with PPC because he knows it helps his organic sales so much.
Yep. Yeah. So I actually do think it makes sense. And breaking even, I mean, that helps. That increase your seller rank, hopefully gets you more reviews, gets more customers in the door. So I would do ads that break even all day long,
Yeah, totally.
If I had inventory. So let's maybe talk about this inventory issue just a little bit.
I mean, it's got to be like the millionth time you sold out of products, right?
Yeah, well, it kind of feels like that. Yeah.
But I mean, like, I don't think that there's any way you could have predicted the velocity and the rate at which the sales are increasing.
No, there's not, because basically I was on my first stock of inventory on 3 of my products. Okay. So I'm only on my second batch. I'm just have reordered my second batch on 3 of my products. So I ordered 500 units each, I thought that was a good initial stock on 3 products to see if they would sell. So I was just testing the market is really what I was doing. Some people might say, oh, you should go all out and I should have ordered 1,000 or 2,000 units. I'm of the opinion that you should put less capital at risk to start, order a very low minimum quantity, and see if they sell. And so that's what I did. And so that initial batch, at first, when you first list them up, you're lucky if they sell 1 a day or 1 every other day. And then you do a promotion, and then that bumps it up to 3 or 4 a day. And then, as those reviews roll in, after a week or 2, I was starting to sell 10 or sometimes 15 products a day, units a day. And so suddenly I'm faced with, okay, I've now sold a couple hundred units. I have 300 units left and they're selling 10 a day. I'm going to be out in 30 days, right? So even if I would have, and then let's go through the process, right? So I have 30 days to get restocked. Well, it takes 30 days to manufacture the product, and then it takes 2 weeks to ship it, to get it to the US, and then unpacking from the dock and getting into a warehouse and shipping to Amazon and them unpacking it. That's another 2 weeks right there, right? So we're talking 2 months, maybe more, 2 to 2.5 months. So I'm already a month and a half behind, right? I should have ordered product a month and a half ago. Well, that was before I even listed my product in the first place. So, so there was nothing I could have done. So it's a really good problem to have, but it was really a test batch, of 500 units. And so I knew that those were selling well. And now I've gone back and ordered essentially 2,000 units of each. Not quite, but close to that. So those are on their way. And of course I have my other products on their way as well. So that's basically the issue that I've run into is I've totally underestimated the market demand every time. And I shouldn't play so innocent. Those 3 new products, there was nothing I could have done about them. I do have one other product that I should have done a little bit better job of. My first product, my second batch of inventory, I should have made it much bigger than I did. I came back and ordered another batch that still wasn't quite big enough. The market demand was a little higher than I was expecting a second time. And so that one's my fault. I should have done a bigger order. But hopefully I'll catch up, and it's a learning process. I've only been doing this 6 months, and I'm going to be much better at ordering inventory here in the future as these new batches sell out.
Yeah, it seems like that might be one of the most important skills to develop, or like the primary skill that you end up developing as you do this more and more, and that's just your logistics acumen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it seems tough.
Yeah, and it's mostly just a learning process, right? It's not so much difficult as it is just, okay, let's see how fast this sells. And when you know what that velocity is, you reorder. So it's not completely difficult, but it is the biggest headache, right? Because I have to sit here, for example, I ordered products, a month and a half to 2 months ago, right? So I foresaw in late July, and I ordered. But I still haven't seen those yet, right? It's a long lead time. And so you're like, oh man, I know I'm going to have a headache for the next 2 to 3 months waiting for this new inventory to come. But that's just the way it goes. You just kind of have to roll with the punches, if you will. So the other final thing is, beyond the 2 new products that I'm adding basically right now, I do, if the products sell well here late this year, which I fully expect that they will, I plan to reinvest in this business big time. And some of the things that I want to do is, of course, add new private label products in the new year. I'm definitely going to do that. And I don't know how many. I'm going to have to think about that. I may go big and instead of 1 or 2 new products, go 5 or 6, right away, and just get the ball rolling. And then something that I really want to do that we've talked about before is I do want to create some truly unique products or inventions, if you will, some things that aren't currently selling, and launch those products. I think that's really exciting. I want to do that in 2016. I have some ideas already on a list, and that's going to be a big learning curve, because then I have to hire an actual, perhaps engineer and designer and come up with it's a whole new ballgame, right? Find manufacturers that can make custom products, but I want to do that because the upside is so huge. So that's it. I don't know if you have any follow-up questions there, Perrin, but that's kind of what's been going on. That's the success of the business and some of my plans going forward.
Yeah, there were two things that were in the blog post that I think are worth covering.
All right.
And the first one is just, and you didn't go into this in depth really, but I think it's becoming more and more apparent as this business evolves. And that's just the sheer scale of the Amazon marketplace and how difficult it is to wrap your head around. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it really is. I'm just blown away. I just think about my product that I have, or my few products, and I go, is there really that many people buying this every day? This is blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And part of that is it's hard to comprehend, in the U.S., how many people are in the U.S.? Perrin, quick quiz.
Oh, man.
I don't know the answer. I think 300 million?
Yeah, something like that.
It's got to be close to that, right? So it's hard to comprehend how many people 300 million is, first of all, right? And then how many of those people are shopping on Amazon? It's just really hard to comprehend. There is so much traffic on Amazon, and there's so many people buying products. It's mind-boggling. And what sort of takes the mind-boggling to the next level is not just how many people are buying my product, but to realize my product isn't even one of the best sellers. Like, I'm kind of low on the page, right?
Yeah.
So the number one products in this category are killing it.
Yeah.
Like, selling 3 times what I'm doing or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm gaining an appreciation for the traffic that is on Amazon, the number of buyers that are on Amazon, and just the huge potential. It's really there in so many categories. So yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and what drove this home for me, I've been looking more into dropshipping for my own site, and also because I think some of the strategies that dropshippers use, we can maybe apply to the site that we're building for the FBA products. But what I discovered when I started looking into them is that lots of them have moved totally away from like Facebook ads and are doing almost exclusively Amazon ads to drive traffic from Amazon to their websites where they're dropshipping. So these aren't even FBA people, but the traffic on Amazon is so good and those people are so ready to buy, and there are so many of them that it's just working even for people outside of Amazon. And it also says something that Amazon is willing to send people off of their site to buy something else on somebody else's site, right?
Yeah, it does.
Because, there's just so much traffic there that it's okay, and that it's okay to make some money on advertising, even if you're letting customers off of your site to buy something somewhere else. So it's really just a truly massive marketplace, and it's almost like thinking about space, like you can't comprehend how long it would take to get across the galaxy. Your mind doesn't work that way, and Amazon is almost kind of the same way,
Right.
When you're used to dealing with traffic levels on your own sites that are, 1,000 or 2,000 a day or whatever.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Something you said there triggered, how I could be growing this business. And a lot of the reason this business hasn't grown even more than it has, and that's kind of hard to say because it's grown really quickly, comes back to sort of my own limitations in thinking, going, okay, well, I need 2,000 units or whatever. But once I put my big boy pants on, after Christmas, hopefully, and I see, holy cow, there's, I've got some money in my pocket, and go out and order 4,000 units or 5,000 units. I really need to do a huge batch of inventory to tap into the true potential. Because then I need to start figuring out well, how can I sell this inventory much quicker? I'll get the natural traffic from Amazon. I'll do the PPC ads, but then I'll finally have additional inventory where I can tap into our own website and, perhaps driving PPC from anywhere to our website to sell the product. And think about Amazon UK and Amazon Japan. I really need to take that next big step of just ordering a huge batch of inventory. And then I can do some serious growth and marketing strategies for this business. And so one of those things that we are working on is our website. You talked about driving PPC ads from Amazon to your own website. I don't know if we would go that route, but we do have a website in place where we've listed our products, and we actually sold 3 or 4 units of our own product directly from our own website, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, something we didn't expect.
Yeah, we didn't really expect that because the traffic level isn't that high yet, but we're getting some great natural keyword traffic already, and the traffic's growing actually pretty well. Month over month, it's growing quite well if you look at it.
Yeah, it's pretty much doubled in the last 2 weeks, and just the traffic curve looks really good, and the impressions look really good. And overall it's doing well. The really exciting thing about that site though is that we think it'll work really well just as an Amazon affiliate site. So far, and the traffic size is small, but just with affiliate commissions, not counting the sales we're getting from our own products, the RPM is over $100,
right,
which is totally insane. I haven't seen any Amazon sites doing that aside from some really, really big ones.
To give people an idea, we got, what was it, something like 1,000 visitors to our site last month.
Yeah.
So not a ton. We're talking about 30 to 40 a day, right? But we made $135 in Amazon commissions, which is not a huge number, but per visitor, it is a huge number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to give you an idea, my current site is about half that. So for every 1,000 visitors I get, I make about $53. A penny shaved was just a little bit more, so like $57 or $58.
Mm-hmm.
This site so far, just with affiliate commissions, is like $130.
Yeah,
which is really, really good, and it indicates that this market is really strong. And if we can get this thing up to 1,000 visitors a day in a year, which is very possible, we're already buying tons of content that's going to be coming in the next couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Just with affiliate commission, it should be making some really decent money.
Mm-hmm.
But from those same 1,000 visitors, we also made about $200 because we sold our own products.
Yep.
So overall, the total revenue per visitor is 6 times what I'm making with my own authority site that's doing $2,000 a month. So with the same traffic, that would be over $10,000 a month in revenue.
Crazy.
So it's really insane to think about. Who knows if those numbers are going to hold, but they've held for about 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
These are the same types of numbers we were seeing at the beginning of the month when we were saying the same thing. So if they hold, the site, even if it just grows to 1,000 visitors a day, could be a pretty serious moneymaker.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're actually doing quite a bit to grow that site. You mentioned there that we're getting a bunch of content up there. Basically, what we did, our strategy for the site is just doing stuff we know, right? So we've gone in, we're doing a ton of keyword research. We did that, found about 150 keywords that we think are really low competition and will be easy to rank for and bring in that long tail traffic. And so we're actually applying the strategies that I teach in Long Tail University. For those that may not be aware, I have a video training course that teaches how to find long tail keywords for your website, keywords that are really easy to rank for. And that's at longtailuniversity.com. So basically, we didn't look at the search volume of the keywords. We're not so concerned if the keywords get 1,000 searches per month or more. We just looked at, can we rank quickly for this? And I talked about this in our last podcast and blog post, just the fact that you don't need a ton of traffic for a single keyword. It's just you end up ranking for so many different long tails on a single article that it can really add up a lot of times if you're targeting that right long tail phrase. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to have a ton of content, over 100 articles put up over the next couple of months. And we fully expect that it's going to increase the traffic a lot to the website, which will just in turn improve the business overall.
Yeah, and we're also not building many links. We're going to focus on content. We've built links from something like 40 domains right now, which is pretty strong, and we kind of use our connections and some other tactics to build those. But the traffic curve looks really good, and so we're just going to focus on adding tons and tons of content. So we hope to get like 150 articles up by the next couple months. So sounds really good overall.
Absolutely. So. I don't know, before we wrap up here, was there any comments, on the blog post? I appreciate you guys leaving a lot of comments on the blog post. We've got over 90 comments right now on the blog post that I posted just a couple days ago. And so I got a lot of emails as well. A lot of people, of course, were curious. How did I grow the Amazon FBA business? And I can't possibly answer all of those questions on the podcast. I did privately via email, but the main questions I got were how to find a product to sell, what sort of competitor analysis do you do, and then just a lot of logistics questions. Mm-hmm. And so each of those probably deserve their own podcast, but I don't know. Is there anything you think we should try to tackle right here in the next couple of minutes?
Just an easy one that I've heard a couple of different times from the comments and from people reaching out to me. And again, I know very few of these answers, so maybe this is worth talking about. But someone says, why do you do this? Basically, I'm paraphrasing Dave here. Why do this instead of retail arbitrage?
That one's easy.
Yeah, super easy, right?
Yeah. I mean, so retail arbitrage, for people that aren't familiar, is going to the clearance rack or discount rack or finding a good deal at a retail store, Walmart or wherever, and buying up something for super cheap, 70% off, and then turning around and listing that and selling it on Amazon for full price. And that's great. It's a way that people can make a little bit of money, but it's more of a side gig, right? It requires a lot of time. You have to go to the store. You have to then ship it to Amazon and list it. It's very much a side business. It's a small business that, most people might be able to make a few $100s doing it. And that's a good way to get a little bit of money in your pocket. Some people might be able to grow it to, I don't know. I think probably honestly $2,000 or $3,000 a month is probably the upper echelon of people doing this. Maybe there's some outliers doing $10,000 a month. I don't know. Maybe somebody's killing it and doing that much. That's very possible. But most people aren't going to make more than a couple $1,000s a month. On the other hand, Amazon FBA, I mean, that's the real deal. You have your own product, your own brand. I'm still a super tiny nobody. I'm doing $40,000 a month. Right. Yeah. So just it's apples and oranges in terms of business potential and size. So that's the reason we're doing that, is because I can grow $1 million business doing Amazon FBA, and it's not a big deal. I'm still just a small fry on Amazon, but I don't think it's even possible to grow $1 million arbitrage business.
Yeah, that, and I think almost all of our audience is just the opposite type of person that, from the person who's standing in line in garage sales looking for deals. That's definitely not our crowd. Our crowd wants to sit behind a computer and run a business, and that makes money that they don't have to do full time.
Right. And that's not to say, we don't like finding deals and, garage shopping.
Totally.
And that's great. And honestly, I kind of started doing that. I actually started selling many years ago, selling books on eBay, kind of doing the exact same thing I just described with arbitrage. I would find used books, first edition books, and I would buy them. And it was a lot of work. I had to go to tons of thrift stores, and then I would sell them on eBay and make a little bit of money. So I don't think it's to say that that's not our audience. I think there's a lot of people, but there's a way to start small, and maybe that's where you start. If you have no money, go out and spend $100 and do retail arbitrage. That's great. But it's a stepping stone. It's not a final destination. After that, and you have a little bit of capital, perhaps invest in doing your own brand, Amazon FBA product. And that's where you can start to really scale, potentially hire employees and yada, 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 go on from there. So it really is just a whole different ballgame. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on that one. As far as researching products, we probably need to come back and just do a different podcast. We do have previous episodes. I don't have the numbers right here, but I know the names of the people I interviewed. Chris Guthrie, one of the episodes we did, that was almost the majority of the podcast episode, was how to find a product to sell and analyze the competition. So look for that one, Chris Guthrie. Look for Scott Volker from The Amazing Seller. I did an interview with him, so he was a few episodes ago. And Travis Jameson. We also talked about that a little bit, finding products to sell as well. So go back and re-listen to those 3 podcasts if you have questions on finding products.
Yeah, I think this might be also a good time to plug our upcoming webinar maybe. So one of the things that changed between the month where Spencer made $17,000 and this month or last month, I guess now, where Spencer made $40,000 was the addition of keywords and the additional keyword research. So something we put out recently is Longtail University, which is basically mostly Spencer's, but also a little bit of my brain dump, everything we know about keyword research, because this is a central strategy for most businesses we run. And you can go check it out at longtailuniversity.com. But for members of longtailuniversity.com, we're going to have a webinar for finding keywords specifically for FBA in, I don't know, a couple of days. I don't know when this is coming out, but it should be pretty close.
Yeah. Yeah, and even if they can't make it to the live webinar, it's something that we're going to record it and we'll have it in the members section. So even if you're listening to this, a year after it's released or whatever, you can still go over to longtailuniversity.com. And if you join, it will be in the members area. I should be very, very clear that Longtail University is not really an Amazon FBA product. Longtail University is for people that are building websites that want a solid keyword research strategy, how to analyze competition, and want to know everything that they need to know to get free traffic from Google without tons of link building, right? So that's who it's for. We just happen to be doing a special webinar where I'm going to review my Amazon FBA business and talk about keyword research for Amazon FBA, because there's a lot of crossover and a lot of people that are doing both.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're just making that available. And again, it's not a free webinar. It's only for those that have joined Longtail University.
Yep.
So, but other than that, I just want to say thanks again, guys, everybody, for listening in to the podcast. We're getting some great feedback via email, and we always do appreciate any ratings or reviews that you can leave on iTunes. So you can do that over at nichepursuits.com/iTunes. Hopefully some of what I've shared can help you in your own Amazon FBA business. And as always, hope you check out nichepursuits.com, where you can read the comments and get in touch with me if you'd like to do that. So with that, thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you.